Which movie genre is better? Action, horror, sci-fi, or fantasy?
Oh my gosh. I can't watch horror trailers in theaters before the main movie comes up. I have to literally close my eyes and close my ears because I can't handle it.
Hey there, and welcome to Impact After Hours, where changemakers sign off from work and log into life. I'm Camille Lorente, CEO and co-founder of Human Group Media. Today, I'm excited to find out what Afdhel Aziz, founder and chief purpose officer of Conspiracy of Love, is really like off-duty. Conspiracy of Love is a BCorp certified global purpose consultancy that helps brands become forces for good. In 2004, Afdhel survived one of the deadliest tsunamis that hit his home country of Sri Lanka. This tragedy led him on a relentless pursuit of finding his why. Now, he's a leading voice in unlocking brand purpose. You can find Afdhel electrifying stages as a sought-after speaker or advising iconic brands like Adidas, Coca-Cola, or Sephora on driving growth through positive societal impact. He's also written a fiction book, a poetry book, and is a documentary filmmaker. To say his pen game is strong would be a complete understatement. Thank you, Afdhel, for joining me on Impact After Hours.
Hey, Camille, thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
You are such a multi-hyphenate. It was hard to create this bio, this short bio of you. What are you working on? What have you worked on recently that we failed to say?
Well, I think a good way to describe me is somebody who's obsessed with storytelling and learning how to tell stories in different mediums. And in fact, I kind of made a deal with myself when I was a kid growing up. I was obsessed with the idea of being a Renaissance man, somebody who had a lot of different disciplines and abilities. And when I kind of started in corporate life, I made a deal with myself that I would try and do creative projects on the side to just keep my artistic side alive.
Of course.
And that's where, I did a book of poetry in my 20s, a book of fiction in my 30s. I did a documentary film as I was approaching 50. And last year's project was recording an entire music album from start to finish, which I did right here in my home studio here in Los Angeles. So that was that was a tremendous amount of fun. It was very difficult to do, but that was a joy to learn how to tell stories using the power of sound.
I got really excited about that. And I did listen to one of the tracks, and I know it's called Letters.
That's right.
What inspired you to make your own pop music album? And how in the world did you find the time to do it?
I know it sounds crazy, right? What business do I have making an album, let alone a pop music album? But, I kind of wanted to turn my experience into art, right? And I had a wonderful producer, Ali, who gave me the best brief. He said, you should write an album of letters to the people in your life, hence the album title.
Wow.
And so each of those songs on that album is a different letter to a different person. So a letter to my wife, my son, my father who passed away, my past self, my future self. And it was a great kind of writing prompt, and because I live in LA, I was lucky enough to have access to incredible musicians and songwriters and producers who were very kind and who were very kind of patient with me as I figured out how to do this. I as you can see from the background, I have musical instruments in my home, like pianos.
Yes, there is a piano behind Afdhel. That you said that you tried to learn how to play it during COVID.
Yeah, that was my
right?
starting point. I bought this piano for like $500 secondhand here in LA and bought it in here. And I have to say that didn't work out so well. I like playing minor chords in it in a very kind of kind of melancholy way, but I couldn't figure out how to use it. But where it came in super useful was working with a songwriter, and it was like hiring a personal trainer. I said, Madeline, you got to come to my house every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and we're going to write a song together. And she would show up, and I'd have lyrics and a fragment of music, and we would sit here for a couple of hours and use this piano and an acoustic guitar to come up with a track each week. And so that was like step one. Step two is then teaching myself how to use Ableton and music production software to then kind of cobble together beats and cobble together instrumental tracks, which my producer Ali helped me kind of whip into shape. And then step three, which was the most terrifying, was learning how to sing.
Wow.
This was maybe the toughest part.
How did you start that process? So do you usually sing?
No.
Is that like a hobby of yours? So you went in cold.
I went in cold, and not only cold, my wife has famously called me tone deaf.
Oh my gosh.
And so it turns out that I'm not tone deaf, but I would sing off key. And this is how stupid I was. I didn't even know what keys were in music until I learned from all these amazing teachers. And so I had a third vocal coach, Ashwin, who would come in to this very studio here, in fact, use this microphone and teach me how to sing these songs on key. And that was the last bit of the whole process. I don't think it's a coincidence that I've spent the last few years working on learning how to tell stories, not just in words, but also in visuals. So the documentary I did, and now in music. To me, it's like running a triathlon. It's like learning how to like get really good at storytelling in different mediums. And all of this is flowing back into the work I get to do with brands and companies now, making creative content through Good is the New Cool. So I think what surprised me is the stuff I was doing in my spare time out of passion and just following my intuition. I'm realizing now, actually, this is going to help me in what I do in my day-to-day as well.
So, which I think is very much on brand when it comes to Impact After Hours, because that is the message of the show as well. Like what you do outside of your day-to-day work or your profession does impact, your how you show up in the workplace or how you show up for your clients or customers. So I think the creative process that you went through and the output, it sounds like it also has helped you, right? Show up.
And there's something else I realized, those of us who are in the impact space, it's pretty tough right now.
Yes.
It's pretty draining. Every day there is news that is, devastating, news that is stressful, news that is very draining.
Definitely.
And that's where it's, I think it's so important to practice well-being and good mental health if you're in this space. But I realize also there is a way to get energized by doing these projects that bring you joy. That is a part of well-being too. It's not just about powering down, it is about powering up. And so these things I did on the evenings and weekends, these also gave me a bit of a jolt of energy, so that when I did go back to the work we're doing, which can be hard and demanding and demoralizing sometimes, I had like a fresh jolt of energy from those creative projects.
So in the spirit of getting our heart rates up, I want to play a lightning round of questions with you, Afdhel.
Yeah.
A walk in the park or a walk on the beach?
Walk on the beach. I grew up in Sri Lanka and I grew up 100 yards from the ocean. And so anytime I'm near the ocean, it re-energizes me. Yeah,
I was born and raised in the Philippines. Beaches are like a dime a dozen. And so I'm a beach girly.
Awesome.
Cookies or brownies for you?
Oh my God. Can we make a cookie brownie hybrid crossover?
I'm pretty sure that is a common.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that someone has created a popular like
a Franken cookie, like a cookie doodle,
exactly.
Something that's some hybrid mashup that will give you instant diabetes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're a sweet tooth? Yes.
Unfortunately, as my doctor knows, I have a sweet tooth. Yes.
I am also a sweet tooth. That is my kryptonite. I wish desserts or, they weren't as good. Like, I wish I wasn't exposed to that so I wouldn't be so addicted to sweets. But here we are. You're invited to a party, Afdhel. Would you be usually late or usually early?
Usually early. My mother raised me to be very punctual.
Well, you sound like an awesome guest. Which movie genre is better? action, horror, sci-fi, or fantasy?
Oh my gosh. I can't watch horror trailers in theaters before the main movie comes up. I have to literally close my eyes and close my ears because I can't handle it. I think it's, trauma from my childhood, but I will take action movies. I love a really bad action movie, It's like
I also love that, where it's super mindless and you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's cliched, you know the plot line. But there's also like amazing Asian action movies coming out, like The Night Comes For Us or Monkey Man. Like there's an explosion in fantastic, Asian and South Asian action movies, which I'm really enjoying too.
Okay, I'm gonna check those out. Okay, you just received news that's worth celebrating. Who's the first person you're calling?
Oh, I tell my wife. I'll text my wife.
What's like good news that you've received lately that you can share with us?
Oh my gosh, my son got into the middle school of his choice right here in LA.
Middle school of his choice.
Yes, the number one middle school. It's an amazing school here called Laces. And not only is it a middle school, it's a high school too. So he's going to spend the next 6 or 7 years in one school, and it's 7 minutes from our house, which
that is a win.
In Los Angeles, that is like a miracle. So we're all.
Is it really 7 minutes though, or
7 minutes? It's 7 minute drive. We timed it.
You timed it. I know. I guess that's not something that you are prepared for when you have a child. It's certain stages that you have to go through, but also the proximity to the school, plus that you love the teachers and that the teachers love your child. There's like a lot of things that you have to consider, and so I know how that could be a big deal. And
oh yeah, he's in an amazing school right now. He's in Westminster Elementary. He's been there since first grade, so it's wonderful. We were talking about it this morning when I was driving him to school. Like he's just super excited to be in one place, for the next duration of his life.
Do you think your kid is maybe following your footsteps a little bit? I know I know your kid is young, but do you see that?
It's really important, I think, for us to plant seeds and watch what happens, And so he's a wonderful kid. His name's Nuri. He's 11 years old. He's into drumming. Like we have an entire drum set over here, solving Rubik's Cubes, reading Percy Jackson books, playing Minecraft. He is such a kid with such a diverse range of passions.
I love that.
And so right now it's not about forcing him into one path or anything, but it's more about teaching kids like skills, like compassion, resilience, creativity. That's what we're more focused on, helping him grow as a person.
I feel like music has been sort of a theme also of this episode. What was the last song that you listened to?
This morning in the car, Nuri put on My Hero by Foo Fighters, and we were air drumming at traffic lights in a safe way.
Yeah, in a very safe way. Yes. Are you a Foo Fighters fan?
Yeah, I think they're amazing. Yeah, we're going to go take them to see AC/DC in a few weeks. So we're getting into like rock music at the moment.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I might have seen them twice already. I don't know, but it's an iconic band.
They're phenomenal live. Yeah.
What was your favorite book series as a kid?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I was such a bookworm as a kid. Like my nose was always buried in a book. And the Narnia books, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, C.S. Lewis, getting great delight in reading them now with my son. I was a big sci-fi fan, so Arthur C. Clarke, and any kind of sci-fi books at that age, Isaac Asimov. Yeah, I think stuff like that, science fiction and fantasy actually were the places that I loved when my son's age.
Has that inspired you at all, do you think? I know you did a documentary, but in case you are ever doing another project like that, what do you think would be like a genre that you'd pursue?
For my next creative, insane challenge, after now doing a documentary and an album, I want to write and direct a feature film.
Wow. Okay.
Which I'm going to do in Sri Lanka. And I think it's going to be an action adventure film.
Is it so when you watch the South Asian movies, do you think you're starting to do research?
I think I am.
Already for your next film?
I actually went and shot some footage last year doing location scouting. And I went for 3 days with my cameraman and cinematographer. Sri Lanka has incredible backdrops like mountains and jungles and, bridges and things like that. And so I kind of did a little bit of pre-visualization to start writing a script. And as part of my research, there's a Sri Lankan martial arts called Angampura, which nobody's ever heard of. And I went and visited a Angampura camp when I was there and shot some footage there. So yeah, you heard it here first. This is my next stupid idea, is to go and learn how to shoot a martial arts film. Now I've committed myself to it publicly. I have to go and do it now.
Exactly. That's how you do it. Like, everyone's going to hear it. Our producers are here. They heard it. So Afdhel will start working on it. You already have.
Yes.
Okay. My last question is, what is your go-to after hours media? What have you been watching, reading, or listening to lately?
I love great television. I'm really enjoying kind of going back into, I do go down YouTube rabbit holes about different topics. And right now it is filmmaking, as you can imagine, and I find YouTube to be such an incredible repository of knowledge and insight and wisdom. And so there are amazing series like there's one called Every Frame a Painting, and it's gorgeously shot video essays talking about how, to compose a shot, how to use the camera. And so right now I spend a lot of time, my idea of relaxation is watching video essays about cinematography. This is how much of a nerd I am.
My husband, who you met earlier, our chief creative officer, I think he already noted that down. He's not on screen right now, but I am sure he took down the name because he loves watching those types of videos on YouTube. So before I let you go, Afdhel, I feel like we did ask you about what's coming up next, but is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners? Anything big that's coming up for you?
Yeah. In addition to Conspiracy of Love, which is the strategic consultancy, we have Good is the New Cool, which is now a creative studio, and we're producing our first show with Time Magazine. It's a branded content series called The Solutionaries, which is about incredible changemakers solving some of the world's biggest problems in climate, using food, using fashion, using AI and robotics. And so that's what I'm most excited about this year.
Afdhel, this was so much fun. I learned a lot about you.
Cool.
Thank you for kicking back with me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Camille. Right back at you. Love what you guys are doing and honored to be your guest.